Mm-hmm.
I have been looking forward to her class for like a week now. I've been super excited, but I woke up this morning with the start of a migraine, and then something about the class just like made it way worse. I don't know if it was like because we were holding certain poses longer, so if I was in a pose that was making it worse versus like a flow class where maybe you're kind of like you're up and you're down and like moving more. But I mean, I still liked it.
It's
I would like
probably
to
the
try it
more hold
again.
and down dog.
Yeah, I just kind of kept going back to, sitting on my knees and like toe crunching. If there was a down dog and I was like, I would just stop. But I mean, I liked the class. Like I would love to try it again when I don't have a migraine.
Oh, I'm
We
sorry.
have it recorded, so we can send it to you.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that. But Nicole suffers from migraines too, so I'll ask her too about that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, definitely the forward folds and the down dogs would have exacerbated.
When we had the change in weather this week, I think it was Wednesday, I was very happy to have a migraine as well. It was wonderful. So when I was doing my practice, I was like, this feels great. It wasn't Wednesday because I saw Kara on Wednesday. It was, I don't know, it was a day this week. Mm-hmm.
I really like Nicole. My issue would be I feel like I like yin or I like to get a like workout or flow. Like I like to go one or the other. And so like that today was like, okay, like I had to like wrap my head around it because I'm either doing yin or I'm either doing a flow. So that's why I was like, what would you call that? And last time that I did do something with Nicole, it was strictly yin. So I think I had my head around that. And then Sue, you were like, or she'll get us some bird of paradise. I was like, wait a minute, what are we doing? So I didn't not like it. I just had to wrap my head around the in between, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I could have listened to her talk for so much longer. So like that, the beginning was great. And then I was like, well, keep it coming. Like, I want to hear more. I teach in a high school and that's all these kids, that's all we're focusing on right now is like social emotional learning and what is self-care. And like, it is, a practice. It's a discipline. They have to keep doing it. It's not just going to happen by me teaching you one breathing series. You actually have to do it, So I would love to chat with her more on like how to incorporate this in my school to help even more so because, I think it's such a huge benefit. Are we high-fiving or you just have a question?
No, I have a suggestion.
Okay,
so
great.
One thing that we do, I want to touch base with you guys about this weekend, because after last weekend, I talked to you guys, you could start thinking about your self-study project. And I kind of felt like I created a little like flurry of worry, and I apologize for that. It was not my intention, right? If it would make you happier to start your self-study project, and Patty, I'll tell you guys what that is in just a moment. Worry flurry is totally right. And it was not my intention, right? But if you are starting to think about that or you want to dive in, then please feel free, reach out. Timmy and I had a chat about it, super excited. He's going to be studying the sutras, different things like that. So by all means, feel free to start planning and talking to us about that. But for you, Jen, maybe that's what you focus on. How do you bring this well-being into your yoga classes, into your high school, right? And you could maybe reach out to Nicole and set aside a time with her and talk about that kind of stuff, right? That would be a wonderful opportunity for you to apply what we're learning here into your everyday life. So something food for thought.
Can you explain though what am I trying to accomplish with my research or am I teaching it? Like, you know what I mean? What's my end result or what am I doing? Sorry.
No, that's an excellent question. So for Miss Patty, who I hope you will enjoy possibly doing a self-study project, did you set aside time with her to kind of go through some of that basic stuff? Not yet? Okay. So we'll set aside time with you to go through the rundown of all this kind of info, what's left for you to look forward to as we complete the second 100 hours. There is, if you want to take some time to look through the introduction portions of the manual, read through the assignments, all that kind of stuff. And then when we meet with you, we can prep you on what you'll actually need to do. So don't panic. We'll take very good care of you, I promise.
Great.
But the self-study project is for 20 hours of your time outside of when we meet together. The intention of this project is to figure something out, a subject within the teacher training that you would like to dive in deeper with. And this may be because you have an interest in teaching it. You have an interest in applying it to your career, something that you're hoping to help you build a new career off of. Like Kara's interested in looking at yoga therapy, right? So how can she start looking into that? Is it something that she'd like to pursue, right? So there's so many aspects in which that we can work with it. It really is kind of just a very general, it's pie in the sky. What can you study? When I did something similar, I was a children's librarian at the time, and I was very interested in kids yoga. So I wanted to apply mine to kids yoga, and I watched videos on kids yoga. I read blogs, I read books. I also did baby story times and different things like that. The baby story time was yoga themed. So mommy and baby yoga, which is adorable. Totally recommend it. So different things like that, right? And it's really, how can you fill those 20 hours in such a way that will help you dive into this topic? Does that make sense? So like you could, Jen, you could plan some classes for high school, right? And teach. Some of the classes you teach could apply towards it. You could read a book about yoga for teenagers. You could talk to other yoga teachers who teach yoga to teenagers, right? You can interview Nicole, thank you, right? All of that would be what you would list. This is how you met that requirement.
Okay. So but I'm not writing a paper or like I'm not going, okay, guys, this was my focus and I'm going to teach you a class of it. No, right? It's just me researching.
Please hold.
No, don't put that down. Don't add it. No.
It's already there. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
So for it, it's on page 14 of the manual.
Okay.
And it says you have to select an area teaching yoga that interests you to study, right? So it doesn't have to be necessarily 14 to be turned in. So you would list, you read a book for 3 hours. I watched a video for an hour, all of that. I talked to Nicole Rantilla for an hour, right? Those kinds of things. Then you would write a paper. And you will present to all of your fellow trainees. Now, I'm going to stress this many, many times. Last year, the teacher trainees, I don't think heard me. The presentation will last 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Well, they definitely did not hear that.
You can't all look at me and go, oh, I thought you said an hour. It's 10 minutes. All right. Holy smokes, were they all a bunch of overachievers? We were sitting here, I'm looking at the clock, I'm like, been 55 minutes. Do I cut them off? What do I do? Like, they're doing a fantastic job. They were beautiful, but I didn't have it planned within the schedule. So it was a lot. So it's 10 minutes.
But it's really awesome because
it's
amazing. Kind of like when you guys did your conditions papers.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great way then for you to share like a recap of your 20 hours of research and doing in 10 minutes to everyone else. And so everyone else, again, like yoga for kids, like, well, Allie spent 20 hours doing it. In 10 minutes, she could give you the highlights, and then that's more knowledge that we're not telling you in teacher training because we have enough things to cover. We're not going to cover teaching kids yoga. Right.
Well, and the thing that's so cool is my hope is that you will all see how much you still have, you can go off and learn about, right? If this is something that you're interested in, you could do a 300-hour program on trauma. You could do a 300-hour program to work towards anatomy. There's 1,000,001 different things that you can do. It's a slippery slope, my friends, but it is, it will be very helpful for you all to see the breadth of this world you have entered. Does that make sense? Does that help? Okay.
Thank you. Sorry for asking too many questions when it was right there. Sorry.
I'm furious with you. We're gonna have words later. Okay. So, do you have anything else that we would like to discuss about the workshop? I'm not looking at you currently, so.
Oh, I have something.
Yes, go.
It's kind of gonna sound like a Debbie Downer, so I apologize for that.
Ugh.
I really liked everything she brought to the table psychology-wise, and I really liked who she was as a person. I loved everything that she said. My only issue with the practice itself is because of my interest and knowledge in the fascia. It's like, what Jen said, but maybe to a different level, the fascia can truly relax when it's like cold and you really hold it for a long time, or it can relax if it's really warm and you can like really get it
Hey,
pumping.
Kara, can you repeat yourself? We lost you, babe. Your voice went in and we didn't hear a lot of what you said.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, love. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the fascia truly relaxes and releases when it's cold and you're going really, really slow, like yin, I would assume. Or it relaxes if it's really heated up and it can like pull like taffy and stretch. So I was kind of struggling with that because it's like I wasn't able to hold anything long enough to get it to release cold, but I wasn't warm enough to get it to be warm enough to release. So like even though I love the concept of yin yoga, because I'm like, or no, I'm sorry, yin yasa, I thought it was cool to mix the two. But as far as what my understanding of yin is, it was just like, that's not doing what I thought yin was supposed to be doing. So for me personally, I was kind of irritated. But only, I feel like only someone with the focus that I have would really be as annoyed by that. But otherwise, like who she was and how she saw and how she envisioned everything, it's like that was exactly how I want to live my life and my practice. So it was like a compliment and kind of a gentle drag, if that's possible.
So maybe if it had been a more rigorous practice in the beginning.
Well, I mean, to really heat somebody up
Right.
first and then allow them to really slowly stretch it out could have been really good. But just kind of like lay there for too long to be stimulated, but don't lay there long enough to actually get a release. So for me, I was just like, I was in this weird in-between stage.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
I will say too, I don't think it translated as well online as in studio. Yin's a tough thing online without getting sort of the hands-on feedback and the walking around. So I think that's part of it. Because when she did yin with us 2 years ago, which it wasn't a vinyasa, it was true yin, we were on each side for 2 to 3 minutes. Where I think we just didn't have the time allotted because it was a combined practice, which I understand then why that combined practice might not feel like the right solution.
But yeah, I wanted to preface it by being like, I'm a fashion Nazi because that's what my whole life is. So if that's what it's supposed to be about, then I'm kind of like,
I can attest to that as.
But that wasn't so much her goal. I mean, yes, she was using vinyasa, but she really was using a different style of a flow practice for emotional well-being. So just for you to feel good, not necessarily for fascial release.
Yeah. I guess I just thought that that's what yin was.
Well,
Right.
no,
That's what I'm saying, is it wasn't a purebred yin class.
Yeah.
So if that's,
Yeah, I would agree. That's definitely not it wasn't a true yin class. It was very much more just like a soft end to the practice.
That's what we had said in the description, like online for people who registered, was an active practice followed by a long cool down.
So maybe what we could do is have her come in and do like a true yin class towards one of the end of the weekends, when it'll just be for the trainees, if she'd mind. Like just, I would love to experience a true Nicole Yin class as well. And I think it's like the 11th weekend or something when we would be talking about yin and restorative. So that could be delightful.
Yeah, I think my brain needs like more. I was texting Timmy because Timmy's always like he always like gentles my mind because my mind is always like, what is the protocol? And Timmy's always like, just enjoy it. But I like the idea of being like,
Thank you,
this
Timmy.
is yin and this is restorative, because otherwise my brain's like, I can't compartmentalize.
But remember though, sometimes, especially in the yoga world, nothing is going to be that concrete. There are a lot
Not in my classes, Allie, not in my classes.
I know. There's just a lot of like, okay, yeah, but it could be this today, or yeah, but it could be that today, right?
Totally.
Which I do think it can be harder for people who are in the medical world. Like a lot of the PTs that come in, they'll go like, yeah, but that's really not how it should be because of this. And I'm like, yeah, but in yoga world, it can be, like, so there's a lot of, like, that's why, right. That's why you're here to see me and not going to a fellow PT, right? So there's just a lot of those moments where it's like, yes, but. Okay, Can we switch gears now and finally give this handsome man, I know there are ways to tell, like when you look at the skeleton, one of them's the cranium, right? Men have larger jaws, I think, right? To know. So do we think this is a man or a woman? The pelvis is also one. The women's is obviously going to be broader because we have to have those birthing hips. So maybe, I don't know.
Sorry, I just thought of Up when the person goes, Kevin's a girl? So I was like, Steve's a girl?
Steve could be a girl or a boy.
Maybe he identifies that way. But I was sitting in a gynecologist's office and I was studying my textbook while I was waiting for him, and he walked in and I happened to be studying the pelvis at that point. And he said, what are you doing there? He looks over my shoulder and I said, I'm trying to figure out if this is a male pelvis or a female pelvis. And he said, it's all relative. You can't tell from that picture.
Oh, I
thought
like
was
that.
very interesting.
So that's probably what it is with Steve. We're not gonna be able to know.
Unless he gave birth, and then we would know, right?
And then we would know, probably, right? Okay. So anywho, so this weekend I'm going to wow and amaze you all with high-class YouTube videos. I know you're all just so excited. I need something to prop him up with. It doesn't matter, just more because I'm weird. So we will be watching a video. However, what I'd like you all to do is, let me find a picture, the right page, I mean, is please turn to page 88 in your manual. There we go. They can't even see him. It makes me happy having him propped up. Steve is propped up now. So, so we will be playing with this page today. This is the only page we're going to be looking at. Aren't you thrilled? So now we will first be wow and amazed with a video. So please bear with me as I share my screen and make sure I hit share sound. Okay. So this is going to be a broad overall view of the anatomy, and then we will break it down. So don't feel as if you have to take lots and lots of notes right now. Just try and listen. One of the things you have to appreciate about anatomy is please don't feel as if you have to learn everything within the 5 minutes of a video, right? We're going to keep talking about it. And remember that the more you hear these terms, the easier it will be to remember. Don't expect to remember it off of the first time. If this becomes something you really want to learn, or for our anatomy quiz, which means you have to remember 24 muscles, that make note cards. Have the muscle name on there. Maybe, you know, put on the back, where is it? What does it do? That kind of thing, right? But don't feel like you have to remember, oh, it connects here and attaches to this bone. That's neither here nor there. Most people that you're going to be practicing or teaching don't always even know. If you said where the piriformis muscle is, they're not going to know what that means. So here we go. Let's listen to a video, okay?
Are you bored of uninspiring?
I am.
The human skeleton is a living framework that provides support and protection, enables movement, produces blood cells, and stores vital minerals. It can be divided into two components, the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton comprises 80 of the 206 bones in the skeletal system and forms the vertical axis of the body. It includes the skull, the vertebral column, and the rib or thoracic cage, also known as the bony thorax. There are many who consider the skull to be the most important structure in the entire skeletal system. It houses and protects the brain and provides the framework for most of the sensory organs, including eyes, ears, tongue, and nose. Of the 28 bones in the skull, 8 form the cranium that encases the brain, while the remaining 20 include the bones of the face, the ossicles of the middle ear, and the hyoid bone, which is located beneath the lower jaw. The skull is attached to the top of the vertebral column, also sometimes referred to as the backbone. The vertebral column contains the 33 vertebrae that surround and protect the spinal cord, which is responsible for transmitting information between the brain and the rest of the body. The vertebral column is divided into 5 separate regions. These include the 7 cervical vertebrae, 12 thoracic vertebrae, 5 lumbar vertebrae, as well as the sacrum and the coccyx. Although the vertebrae from different regions of the vertebral column differ from one another, they all share 2 features. First, they provide a bony canal for the spinal cord, and second, there is a notch on each side that forms an opening which permits spinal nerves to pass through the vertebral column, to and from the spinal cord. Arcing forward anteriorly from the vertebrae is the rib cage, consisting of 12 paired ribs that form a protective cage around several internal organs. The interior of this cage is known as the thoracic cavity. It houses and protects the heart and lungs. One end of each pair of ribs joins with one of the 12 thoracic vertebrae. The other end of the upper 10 pairs of ribs is attached by cartilage to the sternum, also known as the breastbone. The first 7 pairs attach directly to the sternum via cartilage and are known as vertebrosternal ribs. The next 3 pairs attach to the 7th rib via cartilage and are known as vertebrochondral ribs. The lower 2 pairs of ribs do not attach to the sternum and are called floating or vertebral ribs. While the axial skeleton includes the skull, spinal column, and rib cage, the other portion of the skeletal system, the appendicular skeleton, consists of 2 supportive frames called the pectoral and pelvic girdles, along with their attached appendages, better known as arms and legs. The upper portion of the appendicular skeleton includes the bones of the arms and hands, plus the pectoral girdle, which is formed by the collarbone or clavicle, and the shoulder bone or scapula. The uppermost proximal bone of the arm is called the humerus, joined at its lower end to the 2 bones of the lower arm, the ulna and the radius. The lower end of the ulna and radius is attached to a group of 8 bones called the carpal bones that form the wrist. The palm of the hand contains the metacarpal bones, which are joined to another group of bones called the phalanges, also known as fingers. The lower portion of the appendicular skeleton includes the bones of the legs and feet, plus the pelvic girdle, which consists of 2 large bony structures called the coxal bones, commonly known as the hip bones. Coxal bones are actually 3 fused bones, the ilium, ischium, and pubis. The pelvic girdle attaches the lower appendages to the axial skeleton at the sacrum. The upper proximal leg bone is called the femur or thigh bone. The lower distal end of the femur meets the 2 bones of the lower leg, the larger tibia and the smaller fibula at the knee. In front of each knee joint is a small triangular bone called the patella or kneecap that protects the knee joint and acts as a pulley for the upper thigh muscles. The tibia and fibula join with 7 small tarsal bones to form the ankle. The tarsal and metatarsal bones, along with the phalanges of the toes, form the foot. It should be noted that there are some significant differences between the male and female skeletal systems. The pelvis is larger and flatter in females, which facilitates pregnancy and childbirth. Female bones in general, however, are rounder and smaller than in males. In addition, The male jaw is more squared, and men have more pronounced eyebrow ridges.
Can this beanie hat protect my head from harmful 4G and 5G cell phone radiation? My EMF meter is going crazy, but if I take the cell phone and
Brutal.
I really wanted to hear about that.
Is it over now? It's over. Okay, we're done. Never mind. Was that it? That was it. Okay. Wish you guys were in here. You guys could have all heard my wonderful jokes. I'm good at entertaining Sandy. So, wasn't that riveting? No falling asleep. You're not allowed to fall asleep. It was, right? Do you like music? Okay. I did too. That was one of the reasons I picked that video, is that it highlighted everything. So it made it very easy to see. I know many people are visual learners. I know I am. So you will notice within your manual on the left-hand side, I broke everything up as axial and appendicular. From the video, were you able to retain any of the information about what axial part of the skeleton was? Hold Steve up. Do you remember if the axial part were the arms, legs? Oh, Jen is saying no, nope, that's incorrect. Was the axial the vertebral column? Okay, Jen approves. Was this a part of that? The head, yeah, he has his whole head today too. The ribs, and was anything else part of that? It was just the spine, the rib cage, and the head. The appendicular are the arms, the legs, which are attached to the pelvis, the pelvic girdle, and the shoulder girdle, right? Shoulders. Yes? Makes sense? Pretty cool. Just so you guys know, the human body or any living creature is pretty much the coolest thing in the entire world when you start digging deeper. It's like, how the hell are we here? It's so cool. All right. So the skull is made up of 28 bones. And the hyoid bone, Steve does not have a hyoid bone, but it's a floating bone under your jaw, which is kind of amazing. How does it live there, right? What's it attached to? So, Kara's like, this is high class stuff. The sternum, what is the sternum? That's this thing, right? There are actually little bones within here. It is the type of joint it is. We'll have to watch another video and see if it's in there, or I can find it. Yeah, we can also Google it. There are many bones within the sternum, I think it's a joint. Kara, do you know, are there multiple joints within here, or is it, I think it is, it's joints. It's, I don't know.
I feel like it looks almost like a butterfly body.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
There's a couple and then like a longer one.
Yeah, it's like that. I didn't really look it up because I didn't feel like we needed to know that information, right? So this is your sternum, right? Up here, okay? Wait, no, let's not do that yet. So that's the sternum. I'm just going right now, making sure that you guys know what I have written here on the left-hand side. I went from the bottom up. So the ribs, there's 12 on each side, so for a total of 24 bones. These are the floating ribs, the 11th and 12th bones right here at the bottom. All right, you'll also notice that these beautiful bones, do we know what this is? What's that? What's it called?
Scapula.
Good job. These slippy slidey on top of the ribs, right? They're not attached to the ribs. Muscles, tendons, ligaments hold it in place. This is one of the things I was really, for some reason, fascinated by, is the spine of the scapula. You can find the spine of your scapula if you reach up and over. What that pointy, sharp thing is, right? If you follow from the collarbone all the way back, when you find that spiny part, that's the spine of your scapula. Isn't that fascinating? I might be the only one fascinated by that. That's okay. This right here. And it's important because that's where some of your muscles are attached. So that's why you want to know where it is. I think it's cool. Right? So, and then there are 52 bones throughout your torso. Okay? or so. Or so. All right. Now, the upper and lower part of your body has a total of 126. Can you hear me if I have my head over there? Nope. Cool. 126 bones in the appendicular part, and that right. Let me put this here so I don't go over there. Between the hands and the feet, 54 bones. I'm not going to point out where your hands and feet are. I hope you know where they are. Oh, wait. Which are your astas? Right? And these are your padas. Okay. So, all right. I'm bored with this now. That's what that information is on the left-hand side. So what I would like us to do is fill out my little skeleton man on the right-hand side. You are not going to be expected to remember the bone names. Do I highly recommend it? Yes. Yes, I do. All right. Because the bones, while I probably should be quizzing you guys on all of the bones, I guess I was trying to be nice and not make you. Okay. So some of the numbers I have X'd out because while I love anatomy, I don't really feel like we need to know all the bones within our head, right? So this, we don't have cranium on here. You can pick any number that's 1, 2, 14, 15, or 16 and write cranium because that's what that is, or skull, whichever you prefer, whatever seems more technical for you. I'm sure there's a difference. Okay. 2 is the cervical spine. Do we remember what the cervical spine is? Jen nods yes. So the cervical spine is all the way under, goes all the way up underneath here. Oh, someone say this for me. I'm really bad at this word. With the bottom of your head. Shoot. Occipital? Is it occipital?
The back of your head is the
How do you
occipital.
say it? I can't remember how to say it. Kara, is it occipital or occipital? Occipital? I said
I would
this
say
wrong during my
occipital.
occipital. I said
But
this
some
wrong during
people
one of my
say
classes and
occipital.
everyone yelled at me.
I think it's one of those things like, I think it's occipital, but then you go to like Canada or something and everyone says occipital and it's like, whatever, it's the same thing.
It's like, you know what I mean? Yeah, right? Chakra, tomato. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's the C1 all the way down to C7, which you can find C7. It's the knobby part on your neck. I like this, a little bit of information. The C1 under here is called the atlas, right? And C2 is what? Shit.
Axis.
Thank you. Is it? It is. It's access. Totally left my head. C1, I believe, is responsible for nodding your head. C2 is responsible for shaking your head. That's cool. No? Okay. So the cervical spine, we will talk very much more about the spine when we go back to scoliosis. It supports your head, right? And it has a curve that moves towards which side of the body? The front side of the body or the back side of the body? It goes this way, right? So that is a kyphotic, no, lordotic. I always do that. Yes, it moves to the anterior. So it's lordotic. So it curves in. It's that top of the S, right? Now, the thoracic cavity is T1 to T12, right? So sometimes you're going to have students come in and be like, oh, I have a ruptured disc. And well, actually, a lot of times it's L4, L5, right? Which is in the right down here. But T1 to T12, like they said in the video, has at each part of the vertebrae, what did he say was part of? It looks like it's off the transverse processes. So where the spine points out, little knobby parts on the right and left side, these are called your transverse processes. And that's where the rib is attached to there. But you'll notice not all of them wrap around, like he said, and attach to the sternum. Yeah, so there's this lovely little space. Do we know what this space, well, not the reason, but what helps, why there might be some space there, has to do with the muscles.
It's where your organs are.
See, the organs are up in here that we really want to have protected, right? This is our little shield.
Right.
There might be something important in here, but then what might need some room to grow and fill?
Your
What are you saying,
lungs.
Kara? You're muted. The lungs and something else.
Oh, I said a baby.
A baby? What the hell's your
Baby.
baby doing up here?
Some people present high. I don't
guess
know.
that high. All right. My uterus is not up here.
For the record, you drew the finger from the sternum to the pelvis. I figured that was.
I was being dramatic.
Oh, well then, okay, no babies up there. I don't know what the question is.
The diaphragm. The diaphragm.
I'm muting myself. Bye.
To be fair, Kara, my kids love to kick me in the ribs.
Ooh, mean little
Not
kids.
totally wrong.
Whatever. All right. They usually get up there. They need space. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot about the numbers. Oh, 3. Oh, that's the cartilage. What did he say? That's the it's the cartilage. That's part of your ribs. We can Google that. Yeah, so this part here on Steve, you can see is like a little bit shaded. It's yellow. That's actually made of cartilage, not bone. Cartilage turns into bone, but it's not bone. So 5, what? Oh, I can't read my handwriting. 4 is rib cage, right? Got it. These are your ribs. 5 is the thoracic vertebrae. We went over that. My apologies. I got a little carried away. T1 to T12 is thoracic vertebrae. Number 6, those are the transverse processes. Those are the parts that come out to the side. The part here, Kara and I figured out during one of the weekends, I couldn't remember, it's the spinous processes. Okay. Look at us. We're so awesome. And then number 7 is the lumbar spine. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. The thoracic vertebrae, they are kyphotic, which means they round towards the back side of the body, right? Which is why some people, the more we hunch over, get a hump. So one thing that I tend to feel like people will start to get confused on is when people start using things like the anterior and posterior side of the body. And the more you use that, the easier it becomes. So this is the anterior side of the body, the front plane of the body. This is the posterior side. It's the back side of the body. So the thoracic vertebrae have a kyphotic curve towards the posterior side of the body. Does that make sense? So the lumbar spine is L1 to L5, right? And it curves towards the anterior side and is lordotic, right? I'm gonna say something incorrect and see if anyone catches me. Just start making up gibberish. Be fun. I won't, I swear.
You guys, is everyone clear on lordotic and kyphotic?
No. We're going to spend a lot of time with that during scoliosis section. So I don't want you to get super worried, but what we can explain is that if you think about your spine like the shape of an S, right? The S is going to curve this way, and then it goes this way, then this way, then that way, right? It also really helps if you think about that the neck and the lumbar, they have the same amount of vertebrae, right? And they have the same curvature. Jen, what are you doing?
I said yes, no, yes, no.
Okay. For some reason I really like to tease Jen. There's something about her. It just makes me happy. Okay. So it's true, right? They are mirror images of each other, which is really neat if you think about it, right? So the neck and the lumbar, they are both, oh, it already left my head. No, lordotic. This is one of those, the 2 words constantly flip-flop in my head. So no judgment from me if you do that, okay? They mirror each other. The vertebrae of the ribs and the sacrum and the coccyx mirror each other. Isn't that neat? Why do we think that our spine is shaped that way? Do we know?
Probably helps with like shock absorption.
Exactly.
Along with the discs.
Exactly. It's a shock absorber. It helps make it be able to go like to spring, right? So whenever we step, we jump, it gives us the ability to kind of spring and deal with it. Okay, what number are we on? 7, we always use 7, lumbar spine, lumbar vertebrae, cool. 8 is the iliac crest or the ilium, which is your hip bones, the top of this. What? That's perfect. It's the iliac crest, right? The ilium is this part of the bone here. This here is the sacrum from the front, and you can kind of see it. This is not this. Steve doesn't really have the sacral joint, which is very sad because they're. Well, you can see it better from the front. You'll see these bones. Oh, I have to remember. My video about the joints is going to help us with this. But the joints here are flat, and these bones just slip into place, and they slip and slide, right? So you'll notice that the sacrum attaches, right? And that these bones here are fused. There's a certain age that we hit that these bones fuse together. I don't know that age. I should probably know that age, huh? I think it's puberty. Oh, but it's okay that I don't know everything. I'm sorry. Sandy's scolding me for pointing out what I don't know. So, and this is the coccyx, right? I want to say that I'm going to Google it. Can you Google how many bones are in the sacrum and coccyx for me again? I can't remember right now. Oh, I'm sorry. I remember. I just want Google verification. Kara, do you
Can I
know?
ask a question?
Yes.
So on the sheet, 9 is
Yes.
the sacrum then?
9
and
is
then 10
the
would be the
sacrum.
coccyx? Yeah.
10 is the coccyx. Hang on. Yeah, you know, finding diagrams and images that I really like, it's kind of difficult. So the sacrum is 2 to 4 tiny partially fused vertebrae known as the coccyx or the tailbone. The coccyx provides slight support for the pelvic organs, but actually is a bone of little use. You're welcome. So, all right. 11, your sitting bones, your ischial tuberosities. Spell that one. We can look it up. Right? I am someone that despises the expression sits bones. Some yoga teachers will swear by it and say that is the only way you're supposed to say it. To each their own. If you want to rock it out, go for it. My understanding is it's S-I-T-Z, and it's after something made in Germany. So it has, do you know, Kara, what the understanding is of a sits bones? I've Googled it before.
I just call them sits bones because that's what you sit on.
That's not grammatically correct. And it's actually
the spelling.
S-I-T-Z.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, no, you're okay. It's actually not S-I-T-S. That's what drives me crazy.
Oh, well, whenever we used it just verbally, we never spelled it. It was just like,
right.
This is because ischial tuberosities is so long. So it's like your sits bones because you sit on them. But I never knew that they were spelled with a Z. I've never seen anyone write it out that way.
So what are they?
Wikipedia says it's known colloquially as the sit bones or sits bones, or as a pair of the sitting bones is a large swelling posteriorly on the superior ramus of the, what she said, did you hear her? It's the German verb that is sitzen, which means to sit. But in English, you would say S-I-T-S or sits bones, which to me makes no sense in my head. And I don't like it. So I say sitting bones or sit bones. If you say sits bones, I will not say anything. I will ever as you are. Rich and I have actually had discussions about this. So he doesn't say sits bones in front of me. Because I go, I don't like it. Anyway, God, I have issues. Okay. So 12, or no, excuse me, 13, cut off 12. We don't need 12. 13 is the pubic bone. The pubic bone. This is an important one in yoga. We actually want to learn and think about the pubic bone when you think about Mula Bandha. Do you remember Mula Bandha? So Mula Bandha, you want to bring the pubic bone, pull the muscles together towards your ischial tuberosities, your sitting bones, right? So this is the area in which is your pelvic floor. Remember that? Kinda? Not really? Yes, Jen, thank you for your support and acknowledgement. She's such a good teacher. All right. 17 is the clavicle. The clavicle is here. This is one that is again attached by ligaments and tendons, right? And connects here. I think this part is called manubrium. I think this is the manubrium. I think, don't hold me to that. Can you find manubrium? Ooh, were you? Okay. 18 is the sternum. 19 is the humerus bone. This is your humerus bone. Did we skip 12 and 13? 12, please X off. 13 is the pubic bone. I have our Ray Long book next to me because I love the Ray Long book. I was trying to find the name of this. It sits in your shoulder. So this is the socket for your shoulder, where your humerus meets your scapula. I forgot the word. This is called the glenoid fossa. And it is a shallow space for your humerus to fit into. The shoulder gives you then lots of mobility, but lacks stability. This is, oh, she found the sternum, cool. I need my phone. I want to say it's the greater, it's the greater tuberosity, isn't it? Hang on. It is, yes, nailed it. This is the greater tuberosity. And many of our rotator cuff muscles come into this space, right? So, because what the goal of the ligaments, the muscles, the tendons that go over here is to keep your arm bone into your shoulder. So that is what makes the rotator cuff muscles and is what helps us do these kinds of things. Yep, I think that's where they did that. Yeah, I do too. I think she missed.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay.
One of our students was complaining because after she got her COVID shot, she could not even lift her arm up. Marcy Trojak, Susan. And I'm pretty sure they went into the greater tuberosity.
Yeah.
Instead of coming down
Right,
below
Jen?
that.
Yeah, so she told me on Thursday that she can barely lift her arm up because it's just in so much pain. Maybe we should send her over to Kara.
That was when I got mine. That was I could do everything, but it was this motion straight up, like in a twisted runner's lunge. I couldn't lift my arm up. I could move it everywhere else, but I couldn't lift it straight up to the side.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some pain because they're shooting into the muscle there, right? But I think they went way too high on her and hit that.
I know. Oh, can you unlock it?
I don't like that at all.
Poor Marcy.
Lauren, I love your shirt, by the way. I just noticed.
Thank you.
It says be kind.
It's from school.
I like it too. Okay, so the manubrium is yeah, it's this. It's what that's what I was pointing to. So it's the triangle part here. Right here, where you dig in, you feel that triangle. That's the manubrium, the top part of your sternum. And then the body.
The xiphoid process.
And then, yeah, this is the body and the xiphoid process. Right? Jen just nods.
Pop quiz, is the xiphoid process bone? It's cartilage. It eventually becomes, as we get older, bone, but not.
And when you do CPR, that's the part you push on, and that's the part that usually breaks, right? That or a rib. What? Right? Okay. So humerus, and then just, you don't have to write it down, but just remember that the part of the humerus that goes into the shoulder socket, where this little shallow hole is called the greater tuberosity. Okay, 20, those are the floating ribs. So 11 and 12. 21 is the radius. Oh God. Wait a minute. So if you take your thumb up, this is your radius. Thumb down, that's your ulna. The radius is the bigger of the two bones. The ulna is smaller. So when you are told in your yoga class, if you're not, please tell me, to push into the second knuckle and your thumb, which side of your forearm are you shifting your weight to? The little bone or the bigger bone? The bigger bone. So if we're pushing our weight into the bigger bone, we have more support, right? So when you pucker your hands up, if you don't have this contact right here, then you are putting the weight here, and you will not be as strong, and you will not protect yourself as well. Always, rule of thumb is to put the weight to the larger side, into the larger bone or joint, right? So we don't want to hurt this. This would be a smaller joint compared to Steve's shoulder, right?
There's also an interesting, I think Doug Keller has a video that's kind of interesting. He shows, can you guys hear me okay, Jen? I see Jen like kind of straining. There's an interesting video online, I think with Doug Keller, where he actually shows the bones in motion. And it's interesting as you rotate the arm and then you externally rotate at the shoulder, the bones kind of wrap around each other. It helps to make them much stronger. So it's kind of cool when you think, well, why do we tell them draw in on the lower arms and out on the upper arms? You know, it helps with that wrapping motion.
It's so cool. I yell all the time. I'm apologizing for yelling. I have no control over the volume of my voice, so. Okay. So 21 is the radius. 22 is the ulna. 23, what's 23? Okay, so 23 write down as these bones here, make your wrist, right? These are the carpals. This is your wrist. These bones are the metacarpals, right? These are your metacarpals. These are the phalanges. This is why I get yelled at in yoga class, because words just go blah, 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 blah. And when I hear phalanges, I just think of Phoebe Buffet.
Regina Phalange, that was her name.
I was gonna say, how could you not know that word from Regina Phalange?
I think that's why I knew what a phalange is, because of Phoebe Buffet. So they forgot to load any of the phalanges. Timmy, do you have any idea who Phoebe Buffet is? Go away and watch 10 seasons of Friends. Don't come back.
I don't know if you saw, but I was like,
Oh, you have to watch all of Friends, Timmy.
Yeah, that's your homework. You need to
there
watch
are so
Friends.
many. There are so
Yeah,
many
in your
shows that I
free
need to
time.
watch.
Right, and Amy,
Yeah,
he
all
has
the free time
ample
that I have. Yeah.
amounts.
Yeah.
Seriously, watch Friends.
So sorry, number 24, is that are you pointing to the phalanges there?
24 is phalanges. Phalanges. 23. Because they don't have a line for the carpals. Yeah. Wah, wah.
I just have to say, y'all be horrified if you saw the way I was trying to spell this stuff.
I saw your 8 limbs quiz. I think that's very true. Look at you, Lauren. Lauren is on it,
I couldn't figure any of it out.
right?
I can't spell in English, so in like Latin and Sanskrit, like please.
Right? All right, I'm gonna put Steve down and hold Steve's leg. Wait, no. Yes, okay. So this is the greater trochanter. That's the big bone, and this bone is important because it goes into boop, there. This bone, these have stability and less mobility, but lots of mobility and lots of strength, right? So it's most important to understand that that's what this one is for versus what this one is for, right? So 25 is your femur, 26 is your patella. And let me tell you, for many years of my life, I thought it was platella. I don't know why. So when people would ask why my Chihuahua limps, I'd say, oh, he has luxating patellas. We all have a little Phoebe in us. All right, I think it's the light bulb. Okay, this is your fibia. This is the fibia. Is that not right? That's the tibia.
Yeah. Big one's the tibia.
Yeah.
That's the tibia. Oh, I looked at my page wrong. I glanced down and I just saw the word fibia. Okay, I'm sorry. That's the tibia. This is the fibia.
Fibula.
Fibula. Damn it, why did I write that wrong? Why am I in charge of this? Fibula.
What is it?
It's a fibula. Why did anyone put me in charge of this? It's right in my book right here too. You think that I could read
Because this is so entertaining with you in church.
You're
Well,
doing
see,
great.
there you
It's
go.
fun.
You can put that in a review for us. Sometimes she says the anatomical word's incorrect, but it's really funny when she does.
You're just quizzing us. You already told us you were going to say it wrong. You told us that.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good cover, Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
No, it's the singing I'm enjoying.
It is, right? I have that tendency. Yeah. I don't know why. Okay. What did I miss?
So
Wait.
29 is?
Oh, those are the tarsals. 29 is the tarsals, the metatarsals, and the phalanges. This is your heel. It's not on the diagram, but I love the word calcaneus. This is the calcaneus. It's a fun word. I think it's cool. Oh, and you know what makes me really sad is I don't have a back view. So you need to make a note that on the back are the scapula. Right? All right, so wait, I just want to make sure I didn't tell you guys this incorrectly. You have the tibia and the fibula on there, correct, right? The tibia is the big bone and the fibula is the little bone. You know? I was worried I was going to say the radius and ulna wrong.
Did you say 1, 14, 15, and 16?
X those out.
Okay.
We are not going to cover all of the bones within the head.
All right.
Yes. Excellent question, though.
You can just categorize them all as the skull.
Yes. If you would like to learn more, by all means, go for it. Okay. So we filled out our lovely little man here. I have now a video about the joints. Wait.
Sports Anatomy series, Joints.
Can you hear it?
If you haven't completed our course about bones yet, we recommend that you do that before beginning this course. Joints are structures found throughout the body where two bones connect. There are 3 different types of joints found in the body. Fibrous joints allow the least amount of movement. The joints in our skull are fibrous joints that give the skull strength to protect the brain. Cartilaginous joints allow a small amount of movement and are found in the spine and rib cage. Synovial joints allow a lot of movement and are going to be the focus of the rest of this course. Synovial joints are typically found in the arms and legs and allow the body to move in many different ways during activities like running, jumping, or throwing. The hip, knee, shoulder, and elbow are all common examples of synovial joints. While these joints may seem simple from the outside, they are actually quite complex inside. There are 3 major parts of synovial joints. The first part are ligaments. Ligaments are tough but flexible bands of tissue that connect the bones to one another. In the picture to the left, the ligaments of the knee joint are highlighted in blue. Ligaments provide stability to joints by helping to hold bones together and prevent the joints from moving into positions that may cause injury or instability. While ligaments are quite strong, they can tear if they are stretched too far. The anterior cruciate ligament, or ACL, is one of the most commonly injured ligaments. The ACL is now highlighted in red in the picture on the left.
Oh, it's
The
like
ACL connects the thigh bone, or femur, to the shin bone, or tibia. It limits how much the knee joint can move into dangerous positions. Cartilage is another important part of synovial joints. There's a smooth type of cartilage called hyaline cartilage that covers the end of each bone. You can see this hyaline cartilage in blue in the picture on the left. This is one of the smoothest surfaces in the body, and it allows the bones to move against each other with almost no friction. Fibrous cartilage serves as a shock absorber, helping to protect the bones from damage. It is a very strong tissue that is found where ligaments connect to bones and sometimes between the ends of bones. Now you can see the fibrous cartilage of the knee in blue in the picture on the left. This fibrous cartilage is called the meniscus. Like the meniscus, some fibrous cartilage adds shape to the end of bones and allows them to fit together better. Cartilage in synovial joints is lubricated by a fluid called synovial fluid, which is the third and final part of synovial joints. Synovial fluid keeps the surfaces of the joint slippery so there is minimal friction between the bones. This helps to keep the bones from grinding against one another and causing pain or damage. There are many types of synovial joints. 2 of the most commonly known are ball and socket and hinge joints. Let's get a better idea of how each type of these joints works. The hip and shoulder are examples of ball and socket joints. In these joints, one bone has a rounded end and fits into a cup-shaped socket on the other bone. Notice how the shape of this joint allows the arm or leg to move around in many directions. Try moving your arm or leg in a circle to see how this type of joint gives your shoulders and hips mobility. The elbow and knee are examples of hinge joints. In this type of joint, one bone has rounded edges that fit nicely in the concave edge of the other bone. The shape of the bones only allows the joint to move easily in one direction. Try bending and straightening your elbow, knee, or fingers to see a hinge joint at work. Now that you've finished this course, complete the quiz on the...
You don't have to take the quiz, don't worry. So, what did we learn? Nothing? Nothing? So glad you're here with me.
Ask
It
us a
wasn't
question.
really. Who was that? I feel like I just cut someone off that was talking.
Who has a question? Who has a question? No one? All right. What's up, Kara?
I just get really nerdy about this stuff because obviously the human body was designed before anything else that we are aware of, and being humans that like design medicine and build buildings and skyscrapers, it's like where so much of the genius of that came from how our body was developed, and just even the idea that like our hips and our shoulders allow us to do rotational things so that our knees and our elbows can do hingy things, and like it's so flawlessly designed that it just kind of blows my mind every single time. So I just get real nerdy about that stuff.
I totally agree. I'm constantly amazed at like the symmetry, the asymmetry of different things, and just the beauty of the overall design. It's so freaking cool. Also, please note how cold Susan is. She is now in a blanket and a hat. Sandy and I keep commenting every time you add a layer. We're like, oh, now she has a hat on.
I have the space heater on too right next to me.
All right, so if you don't have this available, please take a moment and find your Key Muscles of Yoga book. Look at Amy. Look at everybody just whipping it out. I hope you have been reading this and that some of you are enjoying it. Please turn to page 22.
I love how the skeleton in the pictures has eyeballs.
Me out.
I hate that part. It freaks me out every time.
Like, why would you give him eyeballs and not eyelids?
Well, they don't have the skin there.
I know, but they don't have eyeballs either.
All right, now I know what to get Sandy for a present. Okay, so let's see. On page 22, who have we not heard from a lot today? I don't know. Kelly, will you read joints on 22?
Sure.
Thank you, my love.
As with the bones, the shape of the joints reflects their function, and their function reflects their shape. Joints come in a spectrum of shapes depending on the mobility or stability they require. For example, the hip joint is a ball and socket, while the knee joint is a hinge. A ball and socket hip joint confers the greatest mobility in all planes and is useful for activities such as changing direction while walking and running, or reaching in various directions to grasp objects, as with the shoulder. A hinge joint, such as the knee, provides greater stability and is useful for propelling the body forward or drawing an object toward the body, as with the elbow. Other joints, such as the intervertebral joints between the vertebrae, allow for limited mobility between individual vertebrae, but great stability to protect the spinal cord. Mobility of the spinal column comes from combining the limited movement of individual intervertebral joints as a whole.
Excellent. Okay, let's see. Timmy, will you read page 23?
Sure. Articular structure. The joint capsule is a connective tissue sheathing that surrounds and seals synovial joints. It is susceptible to stretch injury when executing extreme movements in yoga postures. Synovial tissue lines the inside of the joint capsule. This tissue produces synovial fluid, a viscous lubricant for the joint surface that decreases friction during joint movement. Synovial fluid circulates throughout the joint, transporting nutrients to the articular cartilage and removing debris from the joint space. The various contortions resulting from yoga postures aid flexion and expansion of the joint capsule, stimulating circulation of synovial fluid. Articular cartilage covers the joint surfaces, allowing smooth gliding of one bone over the other. In fact, articular cartilage is one of the smoothest surfaces known to humankind. Applying excessive pressure to this fragile cartilage can injure it, ultimately resulting in arthritis. The meniscus deepens the articular surface and broadens the contact area of the joint. This aids to stabilize the joint and distributes, I don't know why I struggle with that, sorry, and distributes the force of gravity and muscular contraction over a greater surface area. The meniscus is composed of fibrocartilage, giving it a flexible, rubbery consistency.
Good stuff, isn't it? So I'd like to just reiterate that the various contortions resulting from yoga postures aid flexion and expansion of the joint capsule, stimulating circulation of synovial fluid. How is this important in relation to arthritis? Do we know? Take a stab at it. Do you know? Go, Jen, go.
No, well, I mean, just the synovial fluid, if it's inflamed and any of that is inflamed, that's what one of the things of arthritis. Otherwise, if there is no synovial fluid, that's also arthritis, right? So the wear and tear on the joints.
Right.
So it's very important to have synovial fluid, right?
To even begin with.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so then I would just say the inflammation or the bone on bone is going to cause issues with arthritis.
But yoga can help arthritis. So why is that?
Probably because it's helping not be inflamed and moving, because you don't want to be moved. You don't want to not move, right? So the more you can move, and
as we move those joints, it allows the synovial fluid to come in and out. And so that helps to bathe the joints. Whereas if the joints aren't being moved much, then those spaces can become compressive, or you can get, it also mentioned that it helps, the synovial fluid helps to remove debris that's in there. And so you want to kind of wash that surface a lot. Also, if you don't have your meniscus or you don't have enough synovial fluid, then that's why there's different kinds of arthritis. And so one type of arthritis can be developed with the pressure, especially like knees, right? Knees, wrists, over time.
Cool. All right. Let's read page 24. Who wants to read next? Who should I make read? Amy, you read 24.
Joint reaction forces. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Muscular contraction and gravity create opposing forces across the joint surfaces, known as joint reaction forces. It's important to spread these forces over the greater possible joint surface area. Joint congruency refers to the fit of a joint's articular surfaces. A joint is congruent when its surfaces fit together perfectly. Movement out of congruency focuses stress on a small surface area. Large force focused on a small area of articular cartilage can injure it, eventually causing degenerative changes. Some yoga postures have the capacity to sublux or take a joint into a congruent position. Avoid this by using the joints with a greater range of motion while protecting those joints with limited range of motion.
So one of the things that can be really common within the yoga world is, so if you think about, what's this position? If he had his other leg, huh? Can't do it. I'm trying to get him. No, come here, you. What would be this one?
Fire log, if I'm seeing it right.
Yeah, sorry, his leg's not attached and I don't have enough hands to demonstrate this. I should have just done it with my own body. I want to use Steve as much as I can, but it's just not working. So if we're like this, what's the first thing a student, especially that looks like this or is trying to do this, talk about? You know, what do you think the first part of the body they'll mention is?
Probably knee.
The knee, right? They go, my knee won't go down. I'm like, oh, for the love of God, stop pushing on your knee, right? But this is one of those moments where this is a hinge joint and everyone wants to force the knee to go down. Yeah, Jen, right? Ouchies. Where should we be working from? The hip, because the hip has the ball and socket with that major mobility action. So in order to get your foot across, you have to allow this to do the ball and socket, or the hinge. To do the hinge, this to be a ball and socket so you can bring the leg forward. And then eventually when your hip, when those external rotator muscles have more range of motion, are more stretched, you can then bring this leg forward on top into that position without putting pressure into here so that you don't threaten what this joint is supposed to do. It's not supposed to rotate out. It can't do that, right? It has to go on its track. Does that make sense? So it's just different way to think about it, right? What's another one that would be fun for that? Pigeon? Well, yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought a lot.
So,
No. I was just gonna say in the part, where is it? Using the joints with a greater range of motion to protect the ones with less. I thought of in Lotus when you always talk about like not sickling the ankle, because that's another joint that really can help protect your knees in that pose. I feel like, because if you keep it pressured into the leg, I guess when I started doing that, it stopped me from having any sort of knee troubles when I was doing that with my legs, just because it kind of put that more in alignment and helped the knees do what they're supposed to.
yes. So if you look on page 25, Timmy mentioned lotus pose, and it does show you that one. So let me see, does it? I was trying to see if it actually talked about, oh, okay. Lotus posture requires a large amount of external rotation of the hip joint to bring the foot into position on the opposite leg. Obtaining this external rotation from the knee joint creates incongruency because the knee is a hinge joint with limited capacity to rotate. So that's kind of what I was talking about in Fire Log as well, right? But you have to, instead of worrying about worry about the smaller joint for people, right? Oh, Jimmy, but look at your kitty. But you want to think into that larger portion. So if someone looks at you and goes, my knee really hurts in this pose, help them put the work into the bigger area of the body, right? And that should alleviate some of it. Sandy was mentioning the pigeon pose, right? So I'm not in pigeon pose, but if I take my leg across, for some people, bringing the shin forward is going to be a lot. Why do we think that is? Hip, tight hip, right? Those muscles deep within and a lot in the piriformis, right? A lot of that is really tight and not ready for this position. So you want to tell them to back off. I find that taking the shin in helps lessen it. So it's not as big of a degree, because then you're not demanding that this hip then rotate quite as much. So, and the other one for me is a flexed active foot, right? So don't let them just hang out here and dump out on top of their knee. You want this foot to be working. I was taught that with your shin parallel, flex the foot. That if you have your knee at an angle, point the foot. So just things to think about, right? So the shoulders in our yoga world, the shoulder joint, how does it take the most damage usually? What do we always come back to with that? You know?
Cuff, you mean?
What? I'm sorry?
You're talking about the rotator cuff?
Yeah, like what happens to the shoulders here? What's a very common thing that we'll, hear about in yoga? Do we know? Shoulders are very prone to injury with yoga because of chaturanga dandasana a lot, incorrect shoulder alignments. We tend to overuse the muscles within here, and we forget about these beautiful muscles back here, right? Sorry, my hand doesn't go all the way around to what I needed to touch. But we tend to just then go and collapse, right? And we don't, like from the chaturanga workshop, allow ourselves to do that pull-up action to set the shoulders and activate our lats and our serratus anterior muscles, which we'll talk more about tomorrow. So the shoulders, you have to help people find stability more than the mobility. Sandy's laughing at me because I can't talk. Yeah, shoulder is great, but for me,
you're frozen.
There you go.
Yeah, can you repeat everything you just said about the shoulder, please?
Oh, thanks, Patty.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh man, I've been frozen that long. Okay, so in chaturanga, did you guys hear me talk about the big back muscles? Okay, so you heard that. So what happens in chaturanga, what happens is people, they haven't developed their lats, right? How many of us take time to do pull-ups, right? To do those kinds of things. So we don't work those muscles quite as well. What, Jen? Oh, okay.
She just made a face when you said how many. She was like, I don't know, maybe I do. I think Sue does put
Sue probably does do pull-ups. Have you seen her? No, but we have to help our students develop shoulder stability rather than more mobility. You know, we do get a lot of shoulders, and that's very important. But it's important. Am I frozen again? I'm frozen again.
Literally at the exact same part you were talking about.
Help people strengthen their shoulders, create stability, not mobility.
That's it. That's what we miss every single time.
With the hip, help them create mobility and stability. They need both, because so many of us come in and our glutes are weak. Glute medius is a very sad muscle for many of us, okay? And we don't work those muscles. What, Jen, do you have like a rock and tush that's like...
I said, speak for yourself. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
If anyone needs like to have some nuts cracked or something, give them to Jen. She'll squeeze them with her thighs.
Have you seen that movie where Dave Matthews does it? It's with Jennifer Aniston, Adam Sandler. Oh my God.
No, I haven't.
You have to, just go with it. If you haven't seen the movie, if you like Adam Sandler, it's so cute. And Dave Matthews is on it, and he has to pick something up with his bottom. And Nicole Kidman, you have to just watch that part, Ellie. You're going to love it.
What movie?
Just go with it.
Oh,
Adam Sandler.
I thought she was telling me just to go with it.
No. Sorry, Ellie, no. Just go with it, Allie.
I was like, I will, but tell me the name of the movie.
Yes, that's the name of the movie. Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston.
Okay.
I think we found Allie's mantra. Just go with it.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that's my life. All right, 7 dogs. Just go with it. Just let them do what they're gonna do, guys. There's dirt in the house, whatever. Okay, so the hip is about, you really need to do stability and mobility for people. The shoulders really emphasize. You're going to get a lot of students that come in and, well, okay, you're not getting a lot of them, but you'll get some of them that come in. They're like, oh, I'm really strong, right? And you can tell they really have strong delts and they have strong lats because their shoulders are a little more like this. For the love of God, get them some mobility. They need some stretch, some opening, okay? But Timmy, yes, right?
Yeah, when I first started doing yoga, my shoulders were just so stiff because I would like work out all the time and like lift and stuff. And I never realized how stiff my shoulders were until I started trying to do your classes.
Thanks. But it really does become about that. For me, the majority of people, you're going to know, oh, they need some strength up here because they're going to flop down in chaturanga, right? They're not going to really look super strong within trying to do arm balances or side plank, right? And you're going to know, you'll notice the people that need that stability. So it's important just to kind of think about that in those terms. Poor Steve, what is he doing? He's just, oh my God. He's collapsed. What else? Is that it? I don't know. I don't remember what else I need to talk about. For today. Wait 1 second. So let's see, real quick. What is this bone? This bone.
Humerus.
The humerus.
Good job, Patty. Thank you. Unmute yourselves, guys. What is, if my thumb is up, what is this bone?
We can't see you. Froze. We can't see you.
I'm getting the radius.
Oh, here you are.
There we are. Yeah.
Radius. My thumb is down. What is it?
Ulna.
Thank you. All right. What
I tell my
is
students the word up or pu to think pinky, ulna, pinky, however that works for you. Up or pu.
I love that.
Either way, I don't know.
I like it. What is this bone?
Ilium.
This bone. Good job. What's this called?
Iliac crest. No.
Yes. Good job, Ellie. What is this?
Is that the sacrum?
What this?
The sacrum. Good job. That's your sacrum. What is this?
Coccyx,
Pubic bone.
right? Oh, pubic bone.
Oh, you're pointing to the yeah.
Pubic
Okay.
bone.
It was hard to see where you were pointing. It looked like you were pointing to the back.
What's this?
Coccyx.
Coccyx. All right. What's this?
The clavicle.
Jen, you are muted.
Is that the clavicle?
It's better that way.
Yes. It's not better that way. Unmute. Do you remember what this is? The thing I was trying desperately to remember but couldn't remember? This little top part of
I think it started with an M.
the manubrium. Then this is the body of the sternum, and this is the thorax. Yeah. Xiphoid processes? Oh, I'm making things up again. What are these?
Ribs.
Thank you. How many are there?
Well,
24.
well,
Yes. 12 on each side. And what are these?
Floating ribs.
Stop being muted. Floating ribs. Good job, Patty. Do we remember what these are all called? This whole thing. This whole thing. What's the whole thing called?
The spine.
Fine.
The spine. The vertebral column. I actually says it. Duh. Come on, people. And what are the parts that stick out on the side? Bonus points. I'll buy you a brownie if you can remember these.
The transverse processes.
And what's this part? The parts that stick out away from the spine. This way. Jen said spinous processes. We'd hear her, but she's muted and won't unmute. What have I missed? Ooh, what are these things? It
Scapula.
doesn't count because she's muted. Good job. And what's this?
What?
Spine of the scapula.
Spine. Is Timmy the only one answering? Okay. What's this?
Femur.
Femur.
Good job. All right, wait. Let's see if I can do it. This is the tibia. This is the fibula. Did I do it? Hooray! All right. Sandy wants to know what the largest bone in the body is.
femur.
She says she is right. All right. Oh. What's this thing? What's this thing? Anyone remember? I said I like the word.
Is that the calcaneus?
I asked to unmute her. Yes, it's the calcaneus. Good job. It's just a fun word. What are these? All of these.
Tarsals? No.
Yes, the tarsals. What are these?
Metatarsals. And it's an easy way to remember is the T for the toes. Metatarsals, metatarsals. Think of T. You know?
Yes. That took me a second. I was like, what? And what are these?
Phalanges.
The phalanges.
That's Timmy's homework. He needs to go watch Friends. I'm like upset about this. Like
I am too. Timmy, you
Are you
can't pass
Timmy?
teacher training until you've watched Friends.
like
I'm
seriously,
studying business psychology and I've never seen The Office either. It bothers so
Oh
many
my
people. so
gosh.
What is wrong with you?
Oh, Nicole,
I love Steve Carell.
I'm not a
just
huge fan
because
of
The Office.
sitcoms.
So, no, but
you don't like to laugh?
Is
I
laughing
like to laugh from
wrong?
stand-up comedians,
Last
not like
Oh, I
sitcoms.
hate stand-up comedians.
last year, Nicole sent me a big black tote bag that just says crap bag on it.
When we went to the Friends pop-up place in the city, all the crap bags were sold out. I was like, son of a,
I have a crap bag.
can I have yours? What are these?
Can't see you.
What's the wrist part
Wrist
here?
carpals.
Thank you. What are these?
Metacarpals.
Metacarpals. What are these?
Phalanges.
The phalanges. Just like that one again. Did I get everything? Oh, I know. Do you remember what this part is that fits in the cup?
The greater tuberosity.
Nice, Patty. You're rocking this, girl.
I wrote it down.
She's like, yeah. And what's this part called?
Something tuberosity.
No,
The
it's
greater
not a tuberosity.
trochanter?
The
Yeah.
greater
Oh,
trochanter.
there it is.
Oh, Patty, almost.
Oh, well.
I know. So, okay, and what kind of hinges the shoulder joint?
Ball and socket.
Good job. What is the elbow? Oh, his elbow. doesn't-
Hinge. It's a
Oh, yeah.
hinge.
Yes, it is. It's a hinge.
Ball and socket.
Ball and socket.
And the knee.
Hinge.
Good job. Okay, wait, and I have to figure out. Can you look up what the SI joint is? What that's called? What kind of joint that is? Because I want them to know that. Do you know, Jen, what the name of the joint is for the sacrum? Kara, come on. One of you has to know it.
Wait.
It's a type of joint. It's the
I would say
slidey
immovable.
one. The slidey ones. What's the slidey
Oh,
joint?
gliding. Gliding.
Is it gliding joint?
Well, I don't know. Ankle and wrist are gliding. I don't know what your sacrum is. I don't know.
Oh, I totally missed the question.
It's gonna bother me. I have to figure it out. Okay. So we got through Steve. Do you all feel so much smarter? Totally.
It says it's a synovial plane joint. I don't know if that's what you're thinking about, but
It's not.
sorry.
You tried, and I appreciate the effort. There's another name. It's not helpful. There's a word I'm trying to think of, you guys. It's just gonna drive me crazy. I'll figure it out. Not what's important. All right. So we have one more thing we're going to do. We're going to make one more person do their opening and closing, and then you all get to go home or leave the Zoom rooms. So who would like to be our last person to go today? Kara's rocking and rolling. Yeah, I love it. She's like, I got this.
Well, I'm actually super tired and I don't think I'm nearly as enthusiastic as I was when we started. So we'll pretend this is a warm down class.
What are you eating? What's going on?
Medjool dates.
Oh.
I don't know why I just put it in my mouth when I'm going to talk.
Finish your date and then you can speak.
Only date I've been in a year. So might as well enjoy it.
Take you out sometime.
I would love that. Okay. Let's see if what I wrote makes any sense now. Welcome to class. I invite you to get comfortable on your mat. Take a few slow breaths. Let your vision soften and put your legs into easy pose. Continue with your slow breaths. Let your eyelids lower and start to let the busy and bouncing thoughts in your mind slow down to a trickle until you feel yourself present in your body and a stillness in your mind. After a few moments here, use your hands to undo your legs and slowly stand up into your mountain pose, keeping the vision soft as you let your body find its strength and balance and get ready to move. And then there's like a super awesome class that I planned all the way through. And then, okay, so coming out of Shavasana, start to bring yourself back to how we started today's class, coming full circle. Let the eyelids get heavier and heavier. Oh, sorry, this is going into Shavasana. Psych out. I'm starting over, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Start to bring yourself back to how we started today's class, coming full circle. Let the eyelids get heavier and heavier, the breath getting slower and deeper, focusing on slow inhales and slightly longer exhales. Allow yourself to pull every ounce of your energy into your body, and then even deeper by feeling your energetic and physical body pressing its weight into your mat. Allow yourself to feel heavy in a good way, to feel grounded, rooted, and calm. Spend a few minutes in this space, deepening the breaths and deepening your roots. 3 to 5 minutes pass. When you feel ready, wiggle your fingers and your toes. Allow the roots beneath you to begin to dissolve, but not the groundedness or grounded nature that they brought. Slowly lift your arms overhead and give yourself a big stretch. Then, cushioning your head, roll over to your right side into fetal position and take a few breaths here. Slowly bring yourself up to your seat and open your eyes. Thank you for coming to class today and for allowing yourself to feel rooted and calm in a world that consistently begs us to do the opposite. Thank you for sharing this practice with me and with all of us. And then I just did like a little quiet head bow at the end.
The end.
That's great.
Very, very good, Miss Kara. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
I loved what you said at the end about the calm in a world that doesn't allow for that. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think these need to be shared with all of us because, like you said, share, steal. I really liked what everybody said so far, and I would love to read it again and make it my own.
I think that's awesome. I love that idea. Yes, we will use the Google Classroom to do that, and you guys can all share it. Yes, I thought that was excellent. Again, you have a very soothing, lovely voice, and you're one of those people that I would just want to listen to. Like, you talk. I'll do what you want. Just you talk. Very nice. So now you'll know if you get to go tomorrow. We have Timmy and Kelly. If Carly's feeling better, hopefully Carly will get to go. If not, we can save her for next time. Tomorrow we'll be talking about the muscles. So we will be using Ray Long like it's nobody's business. And I have videos about the shoulders, the psoas, quads, lots of good stuff for you all. It'll be a mind-numbing experience. Mind-blowing. Totally meant to say that. Let's see what I can say incorrectly for you tomorrow.
It's been fun to figure out what you were saying incorrectly today. So
I had fun.
I just like that Lauren likes when I sing. I'm gonna have to remember that.
Yeah, but it was not just when you were singing, but when you were singing the wrong word.
I know, I do that a lot.
Fibia.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I've had this habit for years of talking in a high-pitched voice. When I worked in my last public library, I didn't even really realize that I was doing it until my coworkers started talking back at me that way. So they're like, "Hi, Allison, how are you?" "I'm fine."
So we're halfway through.
Oh yeah, we are. We're halfway through, you guys. How insane is that? Congrats.
crazy.
Yeah.
They all look thrilled. Yay. All right. I don't know about any of you. I'm starving. My spicy potato tacos wore off a while ago. As a side, don't eat them in your car.
Tacos in the car is not a good combination.
I picked one up out of the bag and it like half of it just fell back into the bag. It was great.
Where do you get a spicy potato taco?
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
Hell yeah. They're delicious. I love them.
At the end of the practice this morning, she went, "And now I'm going to Taco Bell."
I love them. I have been checking Google to see when they were coming back because I don't know why, but they didn't have them for a long time. And so as soon as I saw they were there, I'm like, well, we are getting Taco Bell.
There was a place in the city that had like a Mexican restaurant that had potato tacos. It was like the greatest thing ever.
They're so good. I love them. Absolutely nothing. And just to make it even better, I asked for extra potato. All right, sorry, I'm gonna stop talking about my love of food. You all have a beautiful evening. If you would like to attend class in the morning, let us know. We'll add you to Susan's class because none of you come to my level 2, and that's fine.
You should though. No, you should. It's
Good.
fun. It's crazy.
It's
It's
fun.
fun. It's a
It's gonna
great
be-
group of people
Lauren
that
got to
will
watch it
absolutely
last
not judge you for not being able to do things because there's stuff that none like sorry, rant time apparently. Jesus. I was just gonna put like there's things in that class like some people can do things that I can't do. I can do things that other people can't do. Like it's a very supportive place and it's definitely a group of people that everyone here would enjoy. So
Mhm.
if you're down
I
to
think
clown
that's the
around
beautiful
early
thing
on
about
Sunday.
most of the classes in our studio is that all of you bring so much to the space and make it kind of awesome to practice with. So it's very fun. If you want to see some of the crazy shenanigans that I like to attempt, come play with me sometime.
Fun.
Carrie Donahue Day, she won't be because she won't come because we don't wear masks. No, because I was doing the practice with them and so she didn't like that I wasn't watching, which I don't blame her. Mhm. All right. Have a lovely evening.
You
I will see you all. Mwah.
Bye.
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Patty.
Bye, thank you. Are you ready to go now?
Bye, Jen.
Bye.
Bye, Patty.